GDPR is tedious, necessary, and works out best for the consumer in the long run.
We've been talking about text mails and HTML mails.
Yeah.
They'll probably get a glimpse into behind the scenes of the Atlassian ecosystem and how vendors and partners and Atlassian all work together.
How you get those awesome marketing things and how EasyAgile is doing their own marketing.
We talked a little bit about the landscape of the market, the Atlassian versus Microsoft versus Google, GitHub, that sort of stuff. We talk a fair bit about scaled Agile.
Yeah, and safe.
And the upcoming Safe Summit.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking about EasyAgile products, the story mapping.
Story maps and the roadmap.
And the roadmaps. We've been talking about things that you plan. Thanks for sharing this, by the way. We've been bitching around Atlassian Cloud.
Some of the difficulties some of these large-scale enterprises have adopting Agile.
We've been talking about tools for Agile teams and when it takes place and why you should come.
Hello, Martin. Thanks for joining us.
I was supposed to start this, right?
You're on the Easy Agile Lounge.
It's the Easy Agile Lounge.
Welcome to our Wiesbaden headquarters.
Nick is doing the intro today, obviously. I didn't know that. It's like the whole interview. There's no agenda. We'll see where we go. The last time when Nick was here, it was very interesting. I even got people asking me if we could do more. Like 1 employee and 2 customers. So it took us 2 years, right?
It did. It took us a while.
And you're for the introduction, although I consumed a couple of seconds already.
Nick Muldoon from EasyAgile, and I was last here in September 2016 for the Tools for Agile teams. And this time I've brought my colleague Teagan along, and Teagan's responsible for all of the partnerships and marketing at EasyAgile.
Yeah, so we'll have a good time on eye level, we would say in Germany. Does that translate? Talking on eye level, like if you know hierarchies, high five.
Oh, okay.
No, so it doesn't translate.
Doesn't translate, no.
Okay.
But we learn.
Yeah, I have to learn the appropriate term, but that's not for the video. You're creating marketplace apps for Atlassian software. I learned you've sold your Confluence apps, and at this point you only have Jira apps. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So when I was in Wiesbaden last, we had 3 Confluence apps, and we sold them to another marketplace vendor in January, February 2017.
Okay.
And that was actually at the same time that we rebranded the company to EasyAgile.
And before that it was Arigia. Okay. EasyAgile with the A upside down.
EA. That was a very big.
It's an Australia A, and they are down under, so upside down A. Is that the story or no?
No, it's because from one level it's an A, and then if we flip it, it's an E. It's Agile.
Ah, okay. It's an E. Okay.
And this is why we like it, because it's a conversation starter. We have a lot of people who are very.
What can we put in this video that will make people want to see it? So you've been very deep into how Twitter collaborates. You've been pretty deep into how Atlassian works. And you've been pretty deep in how the marketplace as a whole, like not only the Atlassian marketplace as a product, but also like the whole Atlassian marketplace works. That's probably topics that we can learn from you. How long have you been with EasyAgile?
I started with EasyAgile in late July last year, and officially since October.
I think Teagan's getting the dates wrong. Teagan started out as like 1 day a week in June last year.
Ah, okay.
And then by the end of July was 4 days a week. And then by October was 5 days a week.
So that seemed to have worked out pretty well between you two.
Yeah, and of course as Teagan finished all of her exams and all that, she went to 5 days a week.
And you seem to be a real marketing pro, because a pretty conservative and direct colleague of mine just said, I love your marketing. Like, I've looked at the whole marketplace and all the different vendors, and you were one of the vendors doing their marketing jobs best. And it's
pretty flattering.
Yeah. Jan is not easy on these feedbacks, so must be true.
Thank you. That's very, very nice to hear.
So if we have an Atlassian vendor that wants to improve their marketing, is there something that you can recommend? Work with an agency, because they have, can we get one of those?
Okay.
You didn't want to be in the camera, so get us one of these awesome brochures.
So yes, we are lucky that we do work with a creative agency in Sydney who are called Folk. So I think
I've been impressed by
the
embossing and the quality. I don't know whether this will translate in the video, but obviously this is a pretty bespoke and custom thing that will show which awesome customers buy EasyAgile, and that, I don't know, I would say in 40 seconds you can understand that listening to those two people is worth your time.
It's a validation piece for us. I think Nick was saying that last year, at the beginning of the year, we were a Regia. I think it's pretty clear with a lot of people that we talk to, they don't really remember.
Yeah, don't remember
what we were called.
Brand.
No. To be pretty honest, for me, still Nick is the brand. Like, I don't even know your co-founder.
Oh, Dave.
Dave.
Yeah. So Dave, I mean, Dave.
What's his surname?
Elkin. Dave Elkin. And so Dave.
I never met him, I think. Or maybe I met him, but we had a lot of contacts. And that's probably also perception. Like, if you're a customer, and then this may be totally different.
Well, I got to a lot of events. So Dave also spent over 5 years with Atlassian, and he and his wife did a similar journey. They went from Sydney to San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
They also had an American daughter, and then returned to Australia to raise the family. And so since Dave and I started and launched the story mapping
pretty similar story to what another German guy with Atlassian just did, right?
Oh, tell me more.
You don't know, like Sven Peters is
now joining another marketplace vendor over here. Yeah, that's cool.
And you didn't know that?
K15T.
Yeah. So you did know.
I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same person.
Yeah.
There might be others. You never know.
At least it's obviously not that easy to raise kids in the Silicon Valley.
No, it's not. You know, it's and being away from family makes it really difficult.
Yeah.
And so coming back to Australia, for those of you watching, you know, we're not based in Sydney. We're actually based 90 minutes south of Sydney. So we chose a regional area, perhaps much like Wiesbaden. It's not full on busy. It's more laid back lifestyle. Great place for raising a family, and we've built a team of 6 people today that are focused on servicing and supporting over 1,200 companies around the world. So we've been able to build a global company with most of our customers in Germany and in the US from a quiet regional area in Australia.
Yeah, which is impressive.
And it's fun too.
And it's also like, I'm often thinking of like Mike and Scott being in Sydney, or you, or also Code Barrel, where like the disadvantage of being so remote, like physically remote, is actually something that really needs you to be laser focused on one thing and do that really good. Otherwise, you'd be too remote. We can cover up a lot of bullshit that we create by just being close to our customers and say, "Oh, sorry, we screwed up, but we'll redo it.
We'll fix
it. Promise, we'll fix it." And then afterwards, people like, and there were these situations in our consulting and services business where we actually screwed up stuff, redid it, and the customer was even happier than before, because they are so used to people screwing up things. disappearing and leaving them with the garbage
Yeah.
in their projects. And like the ability to repair stuff is also pretty seldom, but you don't get the chance to repair. You have to be correct in the first place.
Well,
otherwise you wouldn't sell your product.
But we do. So I'll give you an example from support. You know, we as I say, we have 1,200 companies around the world that use our products, and it's not uncommon for people to raise support requests with us that we ultimately investigate are related to problems with their Jira installation, not with our products. But the way that we find that out is we hop on the phone, and it's amazing how much trust and kudos you get when you get it. You know, at 9 p.m. our time, we hop on the phone with someone from Germany, and we're helping them, and we're going, actually, you know what? This is a problem with Jira. Can you chat to your system administrators? Do you want us to chat with your system administrators? And we get great reviews from that, and it's a real turnaround. And
is that something that you ask for in return of the service? So now that you receive this Jira service from us, are you going to return a review? Would that be something?
I would love that. I would love that. And
that's the
occasionally we
ultimate
do.
goal, right?
Yeah.
And I think.
So your goal is to ask more for that, and you don't at this point?
We don't really. No, we don't.
So it's
really
more coincidence. People think, how can I say thank you? A review would be an appropriate thing.
Well, like the interesting thing is when I first started with EasyAgile. So I started with EasyAgile in June. I had no previous experience or knowledge of Atlassian at all. And so the first thing that you do, right, is you jump onto the marketplace listing, and I'm like, okay, what is this thing? Like reading through the reviews. And the one thing that was really apparent in all of those reviews was the support that we provided.
So they kind of thanked through the marketplace for giving that support. It's a very consistent pattern that I see with our own apps and also with other people who say that. And they all say, so that could be something that if you're a marketplace vendor, you could take out of that, ask aggressively for people saying thank you to the marketplace.
Maybe not aggressively, but if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah,
just
also
ask.
what's the point? Like, if you're going out of your way, helping with something that is unrelated to your product, asking aggressively is not something that, I don't know. I at least it's something that I get from other vendors a lot, that they think they should ask more.
Well,
maybe we
just
omit the word.
doing that. So when we've gone through a support cycle with a customer and we've ultimately resolved whether that be we can do something or whether we can't do something, we send them a branded email saying thank you for your time. Would you like to leave a review on our marketplace listing?
Can I pick this branded up? Did you experiment on text only and branded emails?
Well, we originally decided to do that only recently because we were asking for reviews in a text, email, plain email way, and we weren't getting any.
And the branding changed that?
Well, from what I know, we've at least got 2 people go through.
So you probably have heard of GDPR.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
Is there anyone at this point that hasn't heard of GDPR?
Even in Australia, that's kind of come across the oceanic, and we've got
Atlassian has become inactive as a privacy shield company. You probably have read that.
Yeah.
It's I get the impression that they may lack some of the awareness of how important that is, at least for Germany. It's we're nitpickers, bean counters. Like doing something like that is really hurting your brand. It's not smart.
You want to make that onboarding to Atlassian as frictionless as possible, and letting the privacy shield certificate lapse it just throws up red flags.
Yeah,
it makes people ask these questions unnecessarily, and I'm sure Atlassian.
And also, I had like 3 customers who asked me like, how on earth could that happen?
Yeah.
Like, who forgets this? Like, how
like
could
this.
you like let this kind of process slip? And
if you let this slip, what else do you let slip?
Exactly.
And like by no means are we the best.
What I wanted to say is this GDPR thing was something that we took very seriously. I've created a blog post on how we do it, and basically we've created a portal, and this portal will send out emails, and there was a long discussion, text-only emails to. You should
I've got them. And I didn't respond,
hey,
so I got another one saying...
How about you approve that we save your data? Otherwise, we'll have to not save your data. And then we remind you of, Teagan, please, could you please click this link?
I've got that email. You haven't done it yet.
And it's actually I think you'll get 5 emails. And then we have an escalation where, like the last 2 emails, I get a copy, so that I can reach out to people where I think, we don't want to delete that profile. So please, could you approve that we save your data? And in the very beginning, I thought this is a complete mess. Like the government is imposing a process on us that doesn't help anyone. But like the result of this portal is now for everyone we have a login. For everyone we have a valid session. I have a opt-in marketing channel where people actively tell me, like today we have people, they ask us, could you please give us a demo? And then they farm a massive company, like a DAX listed company. We think, oh yes, we're gonna go out of our way. And then 2 days later, they say, please delete my profile. And then okay, that's obviously
a good sign.
A sign of me not investing more time in this guy. Because he has chosen a different path. And now I know. And because I don't have any right to contact him anymore, and that's a decision he took, so I closed the deal. And this distinction of like black and white, or at least customers being able to tell us, I'm black, don't contact me, you're not interesting for me anymore, is incredibly valuable. It's freeing up so much energy on our side in sales and marketing that only that part paid off for creating this portal. And on the other hand, we've like 95% of those people, they simply agree. They say, yes, you can send me emails, you can track me, you can do whatever you think. There's no data that I'm conscious of that, and you can, I don't know whether I know you didn't click the link yet, but you can then choose, so you can choose whether you're okay with getting emails, whether you're okay to that we track you, like send cookies that will be persistent over different websites, do remarketing and all this stuff, whether we can give your contact data to partners, to other customers, so that you can exchange with them. So all of this can be unchecked, and some customers do that, and it's just for me a way more personal level of marketing, because we now have real data to segment, for example. Like there's a page where you can do interest, what I'm interested.
That's the most exciting part for me.
In Agile, do you want to have a new intranet? That's completely different target groups.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're all in the Atlassian bucket. So we send them all the same umbrella, or no, how do you say?
Yeah, you send them all the same content.
Yeah. That's the most interesting part for me, is being able to segment. They have to complete this form, right, for you to send them anything. So what's one more check on something that's going to make my experience with you super tailored to the content that I actually want? Because at the moment, it's pretty hard to do that, but I think GDPR gives vendors like us a really good opportunity to be able to personalize that a lot more.
Yeah. Okay, but I was coming from branded email to text mail, and after a long discussion of not knowing what would be best, and we actually had a HTML branded email already, and I kind of like was very vocal on killing that and making it a text-only email, and we didn't run any A/B tests. So I have no idea whether branded email would work better, but the results are phenomenal. Like we get 99% of response. Like people actually click the links, which is unseen if you're looking at emails that are disseminated by newsletters or something like that.
I think you've got to remember though, Martin, like the whole announcement about GDPR has trained people to go and check for these emails and action these emails.
Maybe,
right?
maybe
this is not a regular email.
Yeah.
This is like the EU and the data privacy commissioners at the various countries have done a lot of work to educate people about their rights under GDPR. And I think people are now taking it upon themselves to go and interact with these and say, yeah or nine, like, do I want to get this or not? So whether you would get the same response rate or click-through rate on a text email about linchpin, I think...
Yeah, maybe. Let's switch the focus a little. More about your products, Agile, Scrum, Kanban, Safe. You're going to Safe Summit the next 2 days or 3 days.
That's correct, yeah.
Wednesday
We're in
and Thursday.
Frankfurt for the regional Safe Summit. Yeah.
Did they move that from America or is that the European version?
European version.
Okay.
So in October, yes, I believe it's October, they still have the main Safe Summit in Washington, D.C. So they're still going to keep the North American one, but this is their regional one in Europe. They call it regional, they don't call it European, but that might
What
be
are
because
you
it
doing
switches.
there? So you have a booth and...
No.
Okay.
It's a new space. Agile isn't a new space, but the scaled Agile framework, and we're just going there to learn.
It's waterfall for and people may hate me for that. My own people may hate me for that, but my assumption is like you have Scrum and you have Kanban, and they work awesomely. The problem is that those big companies, they have trouble implementing that at scale.
That's correct.
So they are still in this waterfall thinking and they have probably understood that this is the direction they don't want to go, and now Safe is like a vehicle that drives them in this direction. That's my understanding. Like if you are in a true Agile organization like Google or Atlassian, you
go on.
Let's assume those companies were truly Agile and little hierarchies, autonomous teams, and so on. They probably won't feel a big need to implement a Safe solution.
Well,
if you're a car
today,
manufacturer in Germany, obviously this is something that sounds pretty appealing because it blends the current thinking of management and the current state of the art of how to develop products, software, and so on.
Yeah. So if you think of Atlassian today, Atlassian's an organization of 2,800 people.
Oh, I just learned last week from Jens Schumacher, it's 3,400 people.
Okay,
Wow.
3,400, there you go. And they are not adopting Safe. They're not adopting the scaled Agile framework.
No.
But Atlassian has agility in its DNA. Atlassian has that ability to constantly reflect and adapt how they operate. And they've done it time and time again for the last 15, 16 years. If you talk about some of these large multinational companies, not necessarily German ones, but across the world, part of the reason that they're interested in the scaled Agile framework is it gives them some kind of structure. They go, we want to be Agile.
That's also rigid, right?
We want to
so you're kind of guided.
That's it. It's not a blank page, right? If I give you a blank page, you go, okay, how do I structure my organization for agility? Don't know. But the scaled Agile framework gives them some guidelines about how they can approach that. In our conversations with customers around the world, I don't think many of them are doing Safe by the book, right? But they have an aspiration to have greater agility, and Safe is giving them kind of this path to get there. And if you chatted to Dean or the team at Safe, they would say, just implement Safe by the book and you'll get the desired outcomes. But the reality is all of these companies, from German car manufacturers to American insurance companies, they have a business model, they have a culture, like they have an organization structure, distributed teams, whatever it is, they're all different, and you can't implement that in one day and say, here's where we're at, and just get the benefits. It's going to be a multi-year process for many of these companies.
50 years of like a corporate waterfall culture, whereas with Google and Atlassian from kind of day one, it's been this open, agile cultural thing. That's just who they are.
I'm pretty impressed that that this framework kind of like, in the very beginning, I was not sure if Atlassian betting on Git would really make it. There was Mercurial, and Mercurial had a lot of features that seemed superior to me as a noob in technology. So I thought, oh, that's a risky bet. But do you hear of Mercurial? Give us a comment on that.
HG space. But I mean, it's not common these days, right? Yeah.
And Git totally consumed the whole version control market.
Absolutely.
And it's looking as if Safe would do the same thing for scaling Agile in big organizations.
In the
do you hear a lot of less or other framework?
Think the 12th annual State of Agile report that version 1 release every year, Safe was the most adopted framework for scaling Agile by a very long shot, and less was one of the more insignificant in terms of the adoption of scaling Agile. So I don't think Safe's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing there then at the Safe Summit?
We're going to reach out and chat with some Safe Fellows that we've met, and we're going to get perspective and feedback on our products from Safe Fellows. We'll meet some local customers and learn how local customers are trying to scale their organisations. I think what we're going to find and hear a lot about are the organisational challenges. In America, it'll be very much people will be talking about employees versus contractors. I don't think that's something that we're going to hear a lot about here in Germany. But we might hear about some of those other organisational challenges around incentives and alignment for the executive team and how that can skew an organisation's investment. So people over processes and tools, right? From the Agile Manifesto. I think a lot of the conversation is going to be around the difficult challenges that organisations face that are completely unrelated to tools.
So getting from Australia to Germany for such an event is quite an investment. What would be a question that you would want answered on this event that maybe someone who views this video could answer in the comments below? Is there something that you could think of that made you invest so much time that...
Really, we're interested to see.
If you're watching still, you seem to be somewhat invested in this chat. So maybe you'll give us a comment for...
They're still looking at our brochure.
Yeah, probably if you want me to.
So I think, ideally, what do we want to find out? We want to find out what are the similarities and what are the differences in the European Safe audience versus the North American Safe audience.
Yeah, but that's nothing that they can.
So I understand. I understand, but that's really the interest.
Yeah. So specifically, today you told me something about PI planning that you're investigating. Can you summarize real quick what this is and how you think your products may be able to help?
Yeah. So just a bit of context. So we have two products today. We have the story maps for Jira and the roadmaps for Jira. EasyAgile uses story maps, EasyAgile roadmaps. Both of those are focused at this team level. And so what we've been investigating is, in response to customer questions and requests, we've been investigating how do we take it from the team level to an organisational level, and how do we better support these organisations that are trying to scale.
And the artifact in this SAFE framework would be the PI planning.
That's right.
That's right, yep.
And what is that? Product increment planning, or what is PI for?
Program increment.
Program
increment. And so throughout the course of a year, we would have a number of program increments. So we would split our year into a number of pieces, 5 pieces, of 10 weeks of 5 pieces.
Cadence is the term that Safe uses, right?
Cadence,
Yeah.
you know, and these.
I'm still learning that.
So
Yeah.
these
You
program.
should come on Wednesday and Thursday with us.
Yeah. So these program increments, they're 10 weeks apiece. There's 5 sprints. 5 2-week sprints is common.
Mm-hmm.
And what we would do as an organisation is we would bring our entire. Let's assume that there's a collection of teams. We would bring them together, and every 10 weeks we would do this PI planning, which is a 2-day event. It's fairly structured. You've got a calendar for it. And at the end of that event, the outcome would be everyone's like, yes, we think we can get this done. And they've kind of got their sprints for that program increment, that 10-week increment of 5 sprints. They've got them planned out. And then they go and they work towards delivering those. And it's a way for, could be 10, 50, maybe 100 teams and the leaders of those teams to come together and to set what they aim to achieve over the next.
Let me try to summarize that in my simple words. So today, with your products, you give teams the ability to visually plan their work.
That's
and
right.
now you want to aggregate this to a higher level so that management or whoever is that can synchronize and make the same thing on a higher level.
That's right, and the audience at that higher level is different. You talk about a solution architect or a release train engineer versus a product owner and the team members.
Is that then an add-on to your add-on?
No, it would potentially be one or more add-ons that would work alongside our existing add-ons.
Okay, so I could only do the PI planning thing and not have the roadmap planner and.
Or you could use them side by side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you might find as well, like as we look to larger companies, they might be implementing one thing on a Jira instance in one business unit, another approach in a different business unit on the same instance. And we've got to be conscious of that.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's, I think, going to the Safe Summit is because we're, with Easy Agile roadmaps and Easy Agile user story maps, we're our best customers. We're an Agile team with a product manager owner and a cross-functional autonomous team. But for these scaled products that we're investigating, we can't dog food them anymore because we're not our best customer.
That's exactly what is a challenge for us, both with Linchpin and with Agile Hive. That when I say the Safe is a waterfall bridge to the Agile world, it sounds like I'm not respecting or accepting that or whatever. But the truth is, I don't understand. So and
it is quite complicated, John. The framework is complicated.
And getting to that point is probably something that is pretty smart. To if you want to help those big companies, you have first to understand that in such a small company as we are, the challenges are different. So
absolutely,
so you have to
the challenges
listen a
are
lot.
different, and we need to have empathy for these people.
And how do I have empathy for a persona that I
Haven't met.
haven't
Don't have a
met?
face.
I
Yeah.
don't know what what do you do in a day,
Yeah.
right? What are the challenges of your role?
It's so valuable for us,
Yeah.
right? Like we want to go take a photo of someone and have a selfie with someone, right? And go, oh, that's Sally, and Sally's she's a project manager. She's doing full safe, or she's doing essential safe, and here's a snippet of what her day sounds like. And then we can take that back to the rest of the team and share that, and then the team will have a bit more empathy for Sally and who they're.
Yeah, I like the idea. Like it a lot. And actually, our people will also be
So
there
it's
with a very, very similar idea.
Yeah.
Actually, we're lucky enough to be part of a Keygon booth who are there. So my hope is that they'll have a lot of conversations with people like that so that they can better envision what the true problems are.
Yeah.
And, cool. Why should I buy your existing product? You start. Pick one.
Do you know what your company vision is for the next 12 months, and does your team know what that is?
And which product helps me do that?
Both. So I would say the roadmap would help you to identify what is the most value for your customers per your different products or whatever it may be. And that's obviously going to, as an agile team, because, you know, success is determined by value to our customers. So that's going to determine your roadmap for the next 12 months. And how do you share that?
Help me with the roadmap. So
Yep.
I have projects and issues and different issue types like epics and stories and tasks and subtasks. What is a roadmap now, like technically? Is that like an aggregation of all of that, or is it a visualization of those pieces? How does it work?
I would say that our product is more a visualization of that piece, because it's going to change. Your roadmap, of course, will change. Your the value that your customers want, you know, from what they want from you now and what they want in 3 months after they've been to the Safe Summit, it's going to change.
Okay.
So I think our roadmap is a really great tool to visualize a snapshot.
And it's easy, agile roadmaps.
That's
Yes.
correct.
That's what I put in on Atlassian Marketplace to check it out.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what you put in.
And the other is,
And it's beautiful because EasyAgile uses story maps, which provides a story map visualization for teams.
and that's the other product.
That's the other product. And several of your teams already use it today. And we got the chance to meet with them this morning, and they were telling us how valuable it is. So
Okay.
that was lovely.
And why is that?
It allows your teams, so if you think about Linchpin, there's a number of activities that one of the users of Linchpin actually goes through, from events to the dissemination of corporate information. And for each of those activities, your teams can visualize those on a story map and the supporting user stories that support that event.
And
Or
that
that
is
notifications
fueled
or
or connected to Jira issues then that they that represent this
It's all
story.
epics in Jira and stories in Jira. And it's built upon Jira software.
Yeah. And those products are both available for the server, the data center, and the cloud version of Jira, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. Especially in Germany, those behind
Heavily
the firewall
server.
things are
Yeah.
still pretty en vogue.
Yeah, where we were talking this morning about the split between server and data center, and in North America we probably have a 65% cloud customer base, whereas in Germany it is essentially, from the exception of one or two,
It's very rare.
it's
Yeah.
very rare that we see cloud in Germany.
Yeah, actually, we have zero traction for Atlassian Cloud here. It's,
And
it's
even-
probably and it's not. This is not a political statement. It's
No,
it's
well,
basically a matter of fact. I assume that Atlassian sells some cloud instances in Germany, but not through us.
Yeah.
and this is not a.
Well, interestingly enough, Martin, I know that we have Jira Cloud customers in Germany that are banks, which surprises me.
Yeah.
Because I would not have thought that, of all the companies in Germany that might be using Jira Cloud, I would not have thought that a bank would be one of them. So it was a surprise to see that. But it's certainly very, very small, like one or two, nothing like
And
the
for
hundreds.
for America, it's the other way around. Is server on decline then, or?
I don't think it's on
I wouldn't say it's
decline,
on
but I
decline.
think cloud is on the rise. I don't know if that statement contradicts itself, but I think certainly for us, in the last 8 months, we've definitely seen an increase in the number of new customers who.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're seeing a split. Like, we're seeing people go from server to cloud or to data center. You know, we got some data earlier this month about how many of our customers are using data center, and it's not I mean, it's not huge, but it's 4%.
Yeah.
And 12 months ago, I don't think it would have been 4%.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting that we've got such a large data center audience, and I think that one is growing.
And you may have seen my comment on that on the partner area. I think like what customers need to acknowledge is that Atlassian has become successful with a very inexpensive product, Confluence Server, Jira Server. They are still like so incredibly inexpensive that compared to the cloud versions or data center versions, which are in my opinion much more competitively priced, Atlassian will have a very big incentive to motivate their customers to move from server to either cloud or data center,
Yep,
just
absolutely.
for earning more money. And that's like, from a customer perspective, you could say, oh, that's not what I want. I want a cheap product and high value. So why should I be inclined to switch to a data center, for example, if I want to stay behind the firewall, or to cloud, if that is possible for me. And in the short run, that may be an answer, but like in the long run, you need the tools that you invest in as a company to become better. Because otherwise they're going to be obsoleted in total, which is, we've all been there, right? We've all used crappy software where we thought, oh, if anyone would give me something that doesn't suck that much, I would switch on the spot.
So Dean Leffingwell, he's the gentleman that's behind Scaled Agile and the Scaled Agile framework. And Dean worked at IBM with Rational and the Rational Unified Process. And obviously Rational was a multi-million-dollar investment. For a big company to pick up Rational, it was millions of dollars. And the user interface was pretty cumbersome. And so Atlassian coming in at $10,000 a pop completely decimated that business. Yeah. Right? Like that business just, I don't even think it exists today. It's probably I imagine on the IBM balance sheet, it's a rounding number. But Atlassian is building up functionality in cloud and in data center that's very specific to small organizations that are integrating with lots of other SaaS products and larger integrations in the data center for large organizations that are integrating with ERP systems, whatever else it is, in that enterprise environment. And that's where they're focusing. I think that's where Atlassian's going to focus more and more of their attention.
Do you think Atlassian's going to force their bigger customers to switch to data center one day?
I mean, one day in 10 years' time, maybe. I don't see it in the near future. I think the work that Atlassian needs to do to data center, it's really around not forcing their customers to move. It's around creating a value proposition that is so compelling that their customers decide to move. And based on the growth that we're seeing, Atlassian's not forcing anyone to do a move today, and I'd say that their value proposition is very compelling.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies are moving.
Yeah, and also what I do see, which has changed a lot, is the importance of the instances that our customers work with have increased dramatically in business value within the company.
It's like central now.
Yeah, so they're asking very different questions from yesterday when you say, oh, by the way, like most of the answers that you just were asking is Atlassian Data Center. So you may want to revisit. So it's easy if you're a company with tens of thousands of employees. It's an awesome story if you can tell people, look, we're only paying $15K US, by the way, to renew this every year. So this is so insignificant that it's, 10 cents per user per year, compared to your multiple euros per user per month that you pay for your other cloud services. That's one part of the story. But basically what you're saying is my software is basically free.
It's basically even data center, if I'm to license 50,000 employees for Confluence Data Center or Jira Data Center, it's going to cost me $500,000, right? I don't know what the number is, but it's somewhere in that vicinity.
Well, actually, for Confluence, there's a cap.
It's a cap?
Yeah, so at 200K, there's a cap.
200K, okay, great. So it's 200K. 50,000, let's assume that half of those people use Confluence on any given day, and there's some information that I want to disseminate, absolutely. And I can't get it out there just because Confluence is down. It's a rounding error on the balance sheet for a company that is big enough to employ 50,000 people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also what I wanted to get across. Like, if it's literally for free or rounding error today, it doesn't make such a big difference if now it costs you, $20 or $5 per user. Per user. Year.
And you've got certified system administrators with the Atlassian certification program. So I can hire people that have been certified by Atlassian, know what they're doing.
And this is not like a pure random sheet of paper with an Atlassian logo on it. like our people spend
It's a
significant
big
amount of
investment.
time to get this certification. So that's also something that, in my opinion, Atlassian did in the right way.
Yeah.
With a company like us, it was quite a hurdle to now devote so much time of so much people to get them certified.
But I guess once you're over the hurdle, Martin, it's just the maintenance, right? So it's you've got all the certifications here. It's just a matter of maintaining that over the future, which is a lot. It's a lot easier, relatively.
And what we do see is there is a market for that as well. Like people who have the certification, like improve their own value in the ecosystem, which is also showing that Atlassian obviously has done something right there.
What do you think an Atlassian certified person adds to their yearly salary?
Oh, that's a difficult question. So.
And how much do you want to retain those people?
So for us, what I'm telling our people is this is definitely going to make a difference in the future when you're talking about salaries within your team. So there will be some people say, but he's certified and this guy is not yet, or whatever. That's very, very difficult. I would have a very difficult time to attach a euro value to that, but I would say it's a significant difference if you're working in a company or in that area, in this ecosystem for more than 2 or 3 years. Being certified is kind of like a must.
Yeah.
Like necessity isn't strong enough. Like you have to do that. Otherwise, people will think, so why didn't he do this? Like he must or she must have enough experience now to pass those tests. Like why doesn't the company invest in making that happen? So I don't know whether Seibert Media is gonna add a extra bonus on getting those certifications, but I'm pretty sure that we won't have any consultants work for us for 3 years without being certified. So it's the other way around. Like if you want to do consulting,
if you want to work for our company and get involved in this is like the precursor.
We don't make it a necessity to apply, but if people start as a consultant, it's pretty clear to them that
they need it.
Let's say in the first year or something. We've been discussing whether in Germany it's very common that you have a 6-month probation period.
Yes.
And there were a lot of people saying like there should be a hurdle to pass this probation period, which I can't say for sure now, but it doesn't seem that this is materializing. So it's still a
6 months. Like there's a very high barrier for someone that doesn't have any experience with Atlassian.
And also, to be perfectly honest, the certification is what a certification is. Like you learn stuff to reproduce this.
You study.
It doesn't like if you're a customer and don't overestimate this. It's like
the value is in the experience of your consultants.
Yeah.
Right? They have years of experience where they've seen what this customer did for that scenario, this solution, all that, and that's what where your value is at.
If you've worked 3 years with customers on these products, it's just like a tiny extra time to learn the questions that they ask. If you're very new to the whole thing, it's a task that will consume most of your time, and then maybe you pass the test, but no one knows whether you're a good consultant or not. And I think what I'm seeing with our company is that people tend to test on your consulting skills and your ability to really digest what the customer needs and then translate that into, for example, easy agile apps and a recommendation for those or not, which is and also to tell that those certifications are Atlassian core products only. You don't even have to know a lot about Bamboo to pass those tests, and and you don't have to know anything about any product, apps.
Yeah.
And like today, if you only need the core product, you can actually use Jira Cloud easily. If you, what we see our customers do is they kind of employ Jira in their whole company. Like their marketing people, their software development people, their system administrators, there's
Human
service desks, there's
procurement, legal.
all of these people. They have so different needs in a tool like Jira that for a lot of our customers, especially the bigger ones, Jira Cloud doesn't cut it because the apps that we need to fulfill all of these needs, they are either not available or not as powerful as for Server. So we tried to make some customers try Cloud. For us to try Cloud, it simply didn't work out because the consultant came back and said, sorry, I can't do that. They're going to be screwed. And we're going to be screwed as well.
It's slow.
Yeah,
that's
right.
It. Like we tried it.
Yeah, there's, okay, however, Atlassian Cloud on a couple of elements needs quite some work.
And I think they're going to start investing into cloud purely because they've seen the adoption in the States. So I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
But there's still the user limit.
Yeah, there's a user limit, which is also like from a political perspective, it's helping Atlassian grow into data center.
Yes.
So there's also a business need for having this user limit, not only the scalability technical reasons, but also like, okay, now you're so big, buy data center, please. What we also see is that Confluence Cloud is way less reliable than Jira Cloud. There seem to be pretty big differences in how those two products are developed or whatever. So there are like a lot of severe. So like last week, there was a bug that prevented all Confluence Cloud instances to open any macros from third-party vendors. So Atlassian, and this went on for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So it started on a Saturday and was resolved on a Tuesday. That means like a 4-day period of people essentially not being able to use the product. If I imagine that in our own company, I would have like driven by car to the home of the system administrators. I'm not gonna leave until you fix that.
Yeah.
And like there's like, I don't know, the level of availability, that's something that they can work on. But okay, this is public, so we stop this here. Yeah. What's your take? What's going to happen in the future with Atlassian? Are they going to be bought by Google? Are they going to flounder with their success and be caught up by renowned Satya Nadella Microsoft? Microsoft is probably the biggest competitor. Would you say that, or who is it? So while you think of that, like what we found out is for ourselves is we need to answer for our customers this question about like the digital workplace.
Yes. And
Atlassian obviously doesn't have a comprehensive suite for every use case. So what we did a year ago is we became a Google partner, and we're now trying to blend G Suite from Google with Atlassian tools by creating integrations, helping customers adopt both. And then like Google is an answer on your email, your calendars, your, let's say, collaboration for up to 5 or 10 people. And then Atlassian is the answer for collaboration from 10 or 15 people onwards. And that's something that sounds plausible to people we talk to, both Atlassians, Googlers, and customers. And so if I now take this picture, one answer would be Google should buy Atlassian. Other thing is biggest competitor of Atlassian is Microsoft. What's your answer on what's the biggest competitor of Atlassian? They have an answer in their prospectus.
Yeah, I think the one of the things with Atlassian is they have a breadth of products, right? They have a product portfolio that spans from software development teams through to collaboration, through to service desk. And if you look at Jira Service Desk has a very formidable competitor in ServiceNow.
Yeah.
Right? Confluence Wiki has a very formidable competitor in Microsoft SharePoint.
Yeah.
Jira has a very formidable competitor in...
That's different now.
I can't think of one. But
okay,
you know, Bitbucket has GitHub, and Stride has Slack. And so if you look at this, Atlassian has this suite of products that work together really well, and they work for marketing, HR, procurement. They work across a number of different departments. Whereas if you look at the solutions from many of these other players, they're point solutions, right? So, yeah, granted, Atlassian doesn't have an email and calendaring, but people will integrate with Google or they'll integrate with Microsoft. And I assume the world market is probably 50-50 between Microsoft Office 365 and Google Apps.
No, it's
You think it's...
Yeah, I know, but I know that this is untrue. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think the Google market share is 1-digit percentage.
Oh, okay, so it's
Minimal.
So it's Microsoft.
Right,
Yeah.
it's Microsoft.
And
Okay.
like I'm betting on the small guy.
That's
with
fine,
our-
yeah.
And also like Microsoft also like Team Foundation Server is probably a competitor to Jira. And
True.
The GitHub is now a Microsoft shop.
Yeah. So that will make
and,
Microsoft a much more formidable competitor
Yeah.
to Atlassian. I think Satya Nadella has done a terrific job really demonstrating to the market the ability to move forward. You know, we've known for a long time, we've known for 20 years, that 30 years, that there's a tremendous amount of innovation that takes place in Microsoft, but they haven't got a lot of that really cool stuff to market until more recently. Or been able to disseminate
I would
it.
say until that Satya Nadella guy, Microsoft has lost all technology wars, if you want to call them that.
And
Like the operating system is on a decline. The problem is that which is core, right? Like
Yeah.
Windows is core to the Microsoft business, and now like people probably, I don't know, you'll have to chase people who say Windows is the better operating system compared to Mac. And then the next problem that Microsoft has is they've totally lost their mobile operating system
Absolutely.
market. Like there's no Windows Mobile anymore, and Google
But you
has
know,
one.
Microsoft has embraced both iOS and
Yeah,
Android.
yeah.
They've gone,
But
"We're not gonna
only
win this."
after Nadella started. Yeah.
Granted. Yeah.
And so they lost their operating system war. My assumption on that is that operating systems for us who don't do coding will be mobile operating systems tomorrow. Like we'll work more.
Yeah, you could operate on an iPad quite comfortably.
And
Yeah.
I will today I would need some multitasking things, and like it's minimal. Like
Yeah.
Like the amount of stuff that I would really miss is minimal. And this is, by the way, like if anyone's watching this who can like what I hate is I had to order a Google Pixel Book, which is like the high-end Chrome OS device from
Right.
Google.
Yeah.
So it's a $999 device from Google, like the high end of this low end Chromebooks, and they were down by 250, so 750, and you could only buy it in USA. So I had to. So if German customs knows that, there's a package, and you want this to track this down. So I had to get someone in the US buy this Pixel Book and send it to me to Germany, because there's no other way for Germans to obtain such a device.
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
does
but
it?
like it's the reality, and it's the same for Australia. I would say like we're like second class technology
Dave,
people.
So Dave,
He has a Pixel book.
The morning of, he woke up from bed. Oh, they've launched it. Bought on his current mobile phone, and it was delivered 3 days later or something like that. I find that very unusual. Honestly, Martin, I find that very unusual.
We're going to check that later. Yeah.
Just you.
Deutschland is a much larger market than Australia.
So there's unsolved stuff.
What's the population of Deutschland?
Like we have 82 or something million.
82. Okay, so you're like 4 times bigger than Australia.
Like 24.
Google would have to have a solution for this.
Yeah. I'm 100% sure that on the Google store you can buy a Pixel book in Germany at this point in time.
Oh, but when?
And that there was no other way for me to get it other than that way. And I'm still waiting for customs to give me a surcharge of more than $250
to make up
for importing this tariffed product. What I actually wanted to say is it's pretty likely that Microsoft is going to lose that predominant positioning in the future more than they already have, because mobile is, I don't know, everyone has a mobile phone.
Microsoft's working tremendously hard though, Martin, to bring back the developers. Right? Microsoft felt for 20 years, 20 years, they felt that they were the predominant operating system because they had the developer mindshare.
Yeah.
And under Satya Nadella, that's what they're trying to bring back.
Yeah.
They've got VS Code, they've got Microsoft Team Foundation
and there's
server.
Xamarin thing.
Xamarin, absolutely. GitHub, like they're trying to pull together all of these pieces to make it the most smoothest, frictionless, fun, energizing place for developers to get their work done. And so I think to your point earlier, that is clearly like Atlassian's largest and most formidable competitor. Oracle's not going to play in the space. SAP's not going to play in the space, right? They just can't get in there. But as far as Atlassian being bought, I can't see that happening because the capital required to acquire Atlassian is pretty significant. And the people that have that sort of capital are very few and far between.
Yeah.
You know, and is it going to be an Apple? No, it doesn't fit their product portfolio.
No.
Is it going to be a Google? I really don't think it even fits Google's product portfolio.
Do you know the toothbrush rule that they have?
The toothbrush rule?
Yeah.
No.
That's a very interesting concept of their product development, or product owners invented that, and they said Google products must be like a toothbrush. If you don't use it twice a day, it's not a Google product. So what they then did after coming up with this metaphoric thing to operationalize that is saying, if we don't have 10 million daily active users, we're going to close down the service. And after the toothbrush rule, like, I don't know, tens of Google services were killed. It was,
I've never heard of the toothbrush rule.
but it's a easily memorizable thing, right?
How many do we want for our toothbrush rule?
Daily active users.
How many daily active users?
10 million.
No, call them weekly active, because it's unlikely someone's going to use our products on a weekend, right? It's unlikely.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't working on a Saturday, Sunday. So
I think they also like that would pass the Google
Weekly
test as
active
well.
user.
I would also say if they have something that's only used Monday through Friday,
that's fine.
That's fine as well.
Because like we do look at our we look at weekly active users and we look at monthly active users, and we know we have a quite a significant audience, which is great, and I think we'd like to maintain that, grow that, but yeah, if we could get to.
But it makes sense for Google. If you're thinking of their services like YouTube, Google Maps, Gmail, search.
Daily active users.
Yeah, and then now compare those daily active users to Confluence or Jira. It's just like, no, it doesn't. That doesn't fit.
The distinction
it's
is
like,
consumer versus business, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But like that's also something that tells me Google can't or will not be interested in that. Like not at all. And what I also see a lot with those people is they don't know that. Like there's a gathering of partners. I'm saying like Martin Seibert, I'm with Seibert Media, we're one of Germany's largest, actually we're the largest Atlassian partner.
Who's Atlassian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone knowing Atlassian here? And then
That was
some
me
of the other
starting
partners.
my job. I was
then
Atlassian.
some of the other partners there, Google partners, they not. But like later, also like I was like reiterating that with the people responsible for Germany, for EMEA, like really high level managers at Google. They wouldn't know Jira. And that was really, and they weren't impolite. They weren't arrogant. They weren't uneducated. They weren't those. Do you know Peter Principle?
Yeah.
So
promoted
they,
to their level
yeah,
of
they
incompetence.
weren't. Yeah, they were like, or they are smart people. They just didn't know Jira, because that was my assumption. Like they use other stuff internally. Like as far as I know, like both Facebook and Google have developed their own versions internally of Jira that they use for issue tracking, and then
Google and Facebook have both developed their own versions of everything internally.
Yeah, but still, like it seems
True.
to be good enough. It seems to be good enough not to adopt Jira, because like you can do that, but at one point someone will come around the corner and say, "Look, there's this Atlassian product, and it's so awesome, and we can have story mapping, and we can have roadmaps, all like for insignificant amount of money."
Yeah.
So why don't we just adopt that?
Because.
And they don't.
Yeah, but do you know, like coming from someone that worked in Silicon Valley
Yeah.
and working at Twitter,
Not invented here? Or?
not invented here.
Ah, okay.
We can do it better, right? We can do it better. We can do it better. And honestly, I think it's ridiculous, right? Because there's some things that, even if you can do them better, why would you even play in that space? How much better than something can you actually get? And what's the marginal utility of that?
Yeah.
You know, like Apple's got Radar. Apple has Radar, and Radar is their issue tracker, and it has some very unique requirements, and that's fine. And they probably develop and maintain that for their public interface to bug trackers for developers. That's something that makes perfect sense. Whether they use that internally, I can't imagine they do. I imagine that they use Jira internally, and they just relate one to one, and they link from one to the other.
Yeah.
But trying to, you know, the things that you get for so easy on the Atlassian marketplace. And this is one of the other things about Microsoft. Microsoft does not have that big marketplace that Atlassian has. Microsoft has a marketplace, but the solutions that are available on that marketplace are few and far between.
I do have to be very cautious on this one, because like in a lot of cases when I've been involved in pitches, there's always someone, like for example in a Confluence or a Linchpin intranet pitch. In a bigger company, there's always someone who says, all nice, but we can do all of this with SharePoint. And then in the very first situations I encountered someone saying something like that, which is in my opinion pretty stubborn, but I could only react with frustration and try to keep it down. And it's like those solutions, and this is a solution of the past, not the Satya Nadella things that I'm pretty impressed about. Like I was pretty impressed to learn that they buy GitHub, and smart move, nothing bad to say about that. But like the SharePoint that you can install behind the firewall, which is something that those companies that we're talking to search for. So nothing about SharePoint Online. Like this is a checkbox ticking software device, not for use, just for selling.
Yeah.
It's like you can sell this as an intranet because it can check all of these boxes, but you can't use it. You can. It's not meant for grassroots like with Atlassian. When we come in, they don't know it, but they're already using the product because someone in IT put it in, and then those guys and those guys and those guys already adopted it. And the intranet team only finds out after the fact that, oh, actually we have all the licenses already. Yeah, how come I'm not surprised?
I would love to know what the daily or monthly active users are for Atlassian versus Microsoft.
Yeah, especially for those old SharePoint versions that are on. And this is exactly when you say like they have a marketplace. Yes, but who knows that Google has a Chrome store, and if you're a Chrome user, you probably know. But do you know the volume, like the amount of people using those apps? It's incredible. Like it's like they have apps that are used daily by 30 million people.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't. No one talks about that. Like, and
are we in the wrong space, Martin? Should we be writing iOS games and apps for customers?
Do you know what? Like, since a year, I'm trying to get into this Google space. So, and we were looking at Microsoft as well. Like, we thought, okay, there is a strong tendency to cloud, and Atlassian is very strong behind the firewall, which we, at least for the German market, already have a pretty strong presence.
Yeah.
So why don't we also bet on a cloud provider? And then we looked at this marketplace, and then I was thinking, like, where's the Google marketplace? And it's pretty difficult to find a good Google partner, like a service provider. That's much easier for Microsoft. They also have like hundreds of or thousands of partners in Germany. Yeah, at least that's my feeling.
Yeah.
Like there's an abundance of people who sell you anything from a Word training to the most complex exchange or configuration to switching to Microsoft Office 365. Finding those people for Google was much more difficult. So I thought, oh, that's good space for us because visibility is something that we can do. And then I found those Chrome stores. I thought, oh, how come I didn't notice that? Yeah. Like, there must be software companies out there earning millions of dollars that you don't even know of because it's only a shitty Chrome app that they create. But they collect $2 a month from a user if you have enough people. That's adding up. Like,
it's good business.
Yeah. And okay. So
I'm not changing our business though, Martin.
No,
not on this conversation.
No,
I'm going to double down.
Yeah, you'll
more
stay
in
Atlassian
marketplace.
in the Atlassian marketplace.
It's a fun place to be in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the customers are great, the partners are great, the Atlassians are great. I love it.
Yeah, same here. But having the experience, I can only say the same things about Google. Although we're like the people we met, the partners we met, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Although only few, the contacts that I had in the Microsoft world were contacts that I didn't want to intensify. Like, should be wearing a tie. And, like, so there's a lot of other things going on that seem to be prevalent there. But however.
Tell me about Tools for Agile Teams. When's Tools for Agile Teams happening this year?
And why should we come?
So for EasyAgile, I think you should come because the target group that we have there is pretty in line with your current products. Tools for Agile Teams was this is probably the 7th edition that we're doing, and we'll have something like 200 or 210 people because we max out in the space that we rented. And there's a new space in Wiesbaden that could host like easily 400 or even 4,000 people. And we were thinking of like moving there and trying to make it a bigger conference because we sell out those tickets pretty fast. But at least for this year, we didn't want to do it. And so it's going to be a selection of people that most likely will have already been there. I'm pretty sure that we'll sell out like months ahead. And in the early days, and those people who are repeat customers, this was a conference to compare sticky notes, Post-its, whiteboards with digital software. And there were a lot of people, like, I don't know, in the very beginning, I would say 75% of those people thought paper is much better than software. So tools for agile teams was Post-its, pens, and whiteboards for them. And we did see a shift of people being more interested in software, but at the same time, they still maintain the spirit of software is not here to serve its own purpose, but it has to help people collaborate. And I've learned in my interaction with Nick that he did have quite some frustrations of working with people who just didn't really want to see like the people who collaborated, but only like, I don't know, other representatives that wouldn't satisfy his collaboration aspirations. And and I know you're creating products that are like in line with what people actually want to use. I would say that's a good fit. We saw a couple of sponsors struggle because they, like even within the conference, they had trouble convincing people of their vision, their product, and I don't know. That would be my answer. Why should you come and be a sponsor there? When is it? Was something that you were asking. And if you go to Tools for Agile Teams, you'll know the date. And I didn't memorize it.
Late November, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the 31st of November and the 1st of December. But you want to double check that. If you want to be part of that, I highly recommend you get a ticket.
If you're an EasyAgile customer and you're watching, we'd love you to speak at the event.
Yeah, absolutely. About
if you want to speak
story
at the
maps
event and share your experience with story mapping.
And you could actually make come true what I just said. Like if it's true what I say, you should meet some of your customers there.
Well, we know thanks to you that we do have quite a number of customers in this region.
Ah, okay.
So, well, I met customers there in 2016.
Have you been? You've never sponsored, right? You've given a keynote.
I gave the keynote and did a workshop in 2016.
What was your impression on? Was it worthwhile? Like
to come across? Yeah. Absolutely, it was a great time.
And tell those people a little bit of the target group that you met.
It was I met product managers who were working with teams. I met project managers who were transitioning into new roles as trying to go on a team level into Scrum Masters. I met a whole host of people. It was a great audience. It was the workshops were compelling. There was a lot of content actually in English, which was great. The games night, which was the night before. What did we do? We did the games night before we did day 1 and day 2, right?
Yeah.
And the games night kicked it all off. That was a little bit difficult for me because it was heavy German.
Yeah.
But there was this space here, and this space was chock-a-block, right?
We had to close it down. It's going to be the same thing this year.
There was many people here as there were for the whole event. It was just crazy.
In the beginning, so there's a conference part, and the other is more of an unconference.
Yeah.
And it ends with this games night. And in the very beginning, we had like 100% participation for the conference. And probably 40% would also participate in the games and unconference, open spaces format. And this has like completely changed. Like now we have we still only offer the unconference and the games night as an add-on. So it can never be more than 100%, but I think we're like at 85 or 90%.
Yeah, that's great.
Everyone's buying the second day as well, and that's also like a good statement of that people do get that this. It's difficult from from an agenda perspective, or if you're pitching that to your boss in a traditional company, open space.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you going to learn?
Well, I think it's getting
and
to
then
me.
and then games. Okay, so you can skip that part. Go to conference and
You should sell it differently. You know, it's an opportunity for you to get to speak to other customers in the same industry as you and share your experience and their experience.
yeah. Luckily, at this point, we don't have to sell it.
Yeah, no, to the bosses.
But, yeah.
And will you be in Barcelona for Atlassian Summit?
Yeah, there's some private reasons that may have me to be on standby, but I do plan to be there, and it's the only Atlassian Summit this year. We've booked the biggest booth there.
Diamond sponsor, that's correct?
Yeah, Diamond sponsors
For Draw.io. Very cool.
And,
Exciting.
yeah, Draw.io is a very successful product for us in the marketplace.
And how many team members will you take across?
It's also a question that I should probably be able to answer, but which I can't. I would say 20, but it could be
that's great.
16. It could also be 23.
Do you know what colour shirts you're wearing? Just so that we don't get the same colour.
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to.
They were. I was voting for orange.
Yeah.
And because I thought it would pop out, and if you have a lot of people, that people would be
cancel
able to
our
see
shirts.
Okay.
No, we won't have. I think it's a blackish thing.
Okay.
So I don't know the reason. There was a good reason for that, and the pop out and be visible simply was dumped. They said we don't need it. We already have the biggest booth.
You're the biggest booth.
Yeah, that's
You're going to
right.
stand
And then
out.
so leave the t-shirt pop out thing to someone else. I think like last time in San Jose, someone had yellow shirts and
Pink Tilt.
Yeah.
and-
Pink Tilt had yellow shirts.
Had
yeah,
yellow
and
shirt.
there were like people are doing a lot of things to stand out, and basically we're doing the same thing.
I remember
like,
you rocked the pink shirts in Barcelona last year.
who was that? That was with Clear Vision. We had a linchpin booth,
Yeah.
and that was like salmon they called
Yeah,
it, but it
salmon,
was
salmon.
salmon. Yeah, but still it was pink. It was
it was
a very the whole purpose of the thing was to make sure everyone would look or see them. It's not nowhere part of the branding, right? So it was just for the colors.
We're looking forward to it. We're taking the whole team across.
Oh, okay.
So
We're like for us, this is a very important exercise to demonstrate to the marketplace, and basically to the Atlassian partners, that this old, still established diagramming solution is old and established, and that's it. And it's more of a message. Like we're investing this money to send a message to other Atlassian partners and say to them, look, you may look twice the next time someone asks you about diagramming what the right solution is. And we do see like droves of customers convert. So we've developed a Glyphy mass converter so that you can, with a single click, you can easily and securely convert all the diagrams from Glyphy to Draw.io. And it's been a incredibly expensive and tedious job because people came back and said, oh, this arrow, it points upwards now. It pointed left side.
oh my
And then you go
gosh.
back and have a new version. And like those iterations, this line jumped over the other and it goes directly through the other line. So you don't know whether those are connected or not. So we need the jumping. So we didn't have line jumping, or there was a lot of things that we did to make mass conversion be absolutely smooth and frictionless, and that's something that we see a lot. It's a very big driver of our business growth today, that people can easily switch from Glyphy to Draw.io, and also like this message is meant to reinforce that. Like, look, you should really switch. It's something they can easily do. It's something that is reliable. We've tested like with tens of customers, and there were there were customers that we really worked 20 iterations, and it was, I thought they would end this journey at one point and say, okay, enough is enough, 80-20, like we'll, but they came back like,
they wanted to make it work.
They wanted to have it 100%, and for the process, that was very annoying. For the product, that was the best we could have.
It shows how much value there is in the product.
And like they really made us find the last piece of, and then there were customers with 160,000 or 40,000 diagrams. I wouldn't be able to imagine that someone would be able to create so many diagrams. And then, there was also a performance task, and that's going to be very interesting for us.
Good.
Yeah. Cool. Let's wrap this up. This says an hour and 24 minutes. That's probably the longest video that I've recorded in the last 2 years. I'm imagining who will watch this. If you are here still, or by chance you're just seeing the last minutes, I don't care. So if you're putting a comment down there, I'll get you a beer. So no matter where you are in the world, you'll get a beer on me. And if we meet somewhere at the Atlassian Summit or wherever, I'm going to buy it personally for you. Put a comment.
If you get this far, come to the booth at Atlassian Summit in Barcelona and we'll give you a t-shirt.
This as well. So you get both. But as this is such a long video, and we were thinking of getting a shorter one, what are the things that people will learn when they watch the whole thing? What's your summary?
My gosh. GDPR is tedious, necessary, and works out best for the consumer in the long run.
We've been talking about text mails and HTML mails.
Yeah.
They'll probably get a glimpse into behind the scenes of the Atlassian ecosystem and how vendors and partners and Atlassian all work together.
How you get those awesome marketing things and how EasyAgile is doing their own marketing.
We talked a little bit about the landscape of the market, the Atlassian versus Microsoft versus Google, GitHub, that sort of stuff.
I think this is actually something that you'll find interesting. So if you're thinking of who will buy Atlassian and what's the relation between Atlassian, Google, Microsoft, and other players, that's probably something that you want to look at.
We talk a fair bit about Scaled Agile.
Yeah, and SAFe.
And the upcoming SAFe Summit.
If you have to be very quick, but maybe, no, the video will air later than SAFe Summit, so you can't meet us there. That won't make it. We've been talking about EasyAgile products, the story mapping.
Story maps
and the roadmaps. We've been talking about things that you plan. Thanks for sharing this, by the way. We've been bitching around Atlassian Cloud. Some of those things some Atlassians may not like to hear, but I think it was not unfair.
Some of the difficulties some of these large-scale enterprises have adopting Agile.
Yeah, like the waterfall mines in the Agile world. We've been talking about tools for Agile teams and when it takes place and why you should come. I think that's kind
pretty
of
comprehensive summary.
Yeah.
Thanks
for tuning in.
Start that from the beginning. This is what you can expect from.
Yeah, maybe.
You should stick around for an hour and a half.
Yeah, maybe we should put that in the beginning, and definitely in the cut version of the video. Thank you so much for taking so much time. Thank you so much for taking so much time to come here.
Yeah, thanks for having us today.
I've only taken the other around to Australia once, and I know it's taken more than a day to get here, right? So from traveling investment with all the jet lag and so on, thanks for doing this. Yeah, and if you enjoyed that, give us a thumbs up or a comment, whatever you feel is right.
And if you visit Australia, reach out, let us know. Come say good day.
Wollongong is awesome. I heard there's chicken and
I have in the backyard.
Nick has chickens in his backyard.
search for them in Sydney. Like search the chicken in Sydney, and you need to be quite lucky, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you.